A sleep clinic, a group of exhausted narrators, and dreams that don't stay in the dark. Every night in October, nightmares become reality. Listen to this epic 31-part saga where the only thing scarier than the dreams is the therapy. Creepy presents The 31 Days of Horror. The nightmare begins October 1st. Listen to the whole series on the Creepy feed wherever you listen to podcasts. Wake up to the nightmare.
Welcome back to Listen to Your Heart. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Jerry's heart.
Today's topic, Repatha, evolocumab. Heart, why'd you pick this one?
Well, Jerry, for people who have had a heart attack, like us, diet and exercise might not be enough to lower the risk of another one.
Okay.
To help know if we're at risk, we should be getting our LDL-C, our bad cholesterol, checked, and talking to our doctor.
I'm listening.
And if it's still too high, Repatha can be added to a statin to lower our LDL-C and our heart attack risk.
Guess it's time to ask about Repatha.
Do not take Repatha if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar, and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site.
Listen to your heart.
Ask your doctor about Repatha. Learn more at repatha.com or call 1-844-REPATHA.
Always so fresh, delicious, and nutritious, Eggland's Best Eggs fuel the body with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
You have to control yourself!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking, you'll have plenty to be afraid of before the night's over. We're talking, I don't like it, but here goes. And we're talking, I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Oh my God, you just broke my ears.
Well, hopefully not the listeners' ears. But yes, everyone, we are discussing James Whale's 1931 classic, Frankenstein.
Indeed, yes. The queer auteur returns.
He sure does. Although, this is probably the least queer of all of his films that we've covered. All of his films. We've covered Bride of Frankenstein. We've covered The Old Dark House.
Yes, and he did The Invisible Man as well.
And The Invisible Man.
There we go.
Oh my God.
I was like, I could have sworn we've exhausted his, most of the films that we could cover from him.
Most of the horror oeuvre, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he was really well known for making World War I films before this.
Right. Yeah, coming soon to Patreon. No, just kidding. Not really our jam.
Joe, I believe you said last week this is a first-time watch for you.
I said that off air, but yes, it is. And it's weird, right? Because this is the kind of film where you have seen so much of it, you know so much about it that you actually feel like you've seen it, even if you haven't. And yet, I found myself kind of pleasantly surprised. It's not just Frankenstein throwing that little bitch into the pond.
It's not. I mean, here's the thing. This is a very short film. I mean, I think the credit rolls at the 70-minute mark, maybe even the 69-minute mark of this movie. And I think, because generally speaking, I do think that Bride of Frankenstein is considered the better film between these two. And
I would agree with that. But I think it's just because it's a more daring, almost audacious film, right? Like, in some ways, this is the prototype, and then Bride of Frankenstein says, but what if we made this a little bit meta and we really went fucking camp?
Absolutely. And that's also why I tend to gravitate more towards sequels than original films. But that's the thing, too. I mean, so much happened in the world of film between the release of this in 1931 and Bride of Frankenstein in 1935. And so it's like, yeah, Whale went hog wild in Bride, whereas this was like, okay, let's see what we can do with, honestly, shadows.
I mean, yeah. It's a gorgeous looking movie. I was actually super impressed with the scope of the kind of vigilante pitchfork and torches kind of scenes at the end of the film. But yeah, I mean, in some ways, this is an austere classic, right?
Yeah. And it's missing, and I say missing as if it needs it, but it's missing the humor that comes with Bride of Frankenstein.
Definitely. Yeah. If you're looking for, that Una goodness, you're definitely not going to find it here. So I was missing my girl. But I think the other big thing is I wish that this was a version of the film that had, I feel like people are going to say, oh, you're just echoing yourself from Invisible Man, from Wolfman, from probably even Bride of Frankenstein. I wish this film was about 10 minutes longer because some of these scenes are just so short. I feel like there needs to be a transition. We need to let them breathe a little bit. And you can tell that the impetus is Universal saying 70 minutes or bust.
Well, but that's also kind of, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but like that was the general length of films at this time period.
It was, yeah.
Also, bear in mind, like filming for this movie took place between like the end of August to the beginning of October, and it comes out in the end of November. So
I hate it.
Like
so stressful.
Less than 2 months after filming wraps, this thing is released. So that's just the way we did things back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I will say, and this probably won't be the first time I bring this up, but if you do want to see a longer, more bombastic, worse version of this movie, you should watch that early 90s Kenneth Branagh version with Robert De Niro as the monster.
Which I've never seen, but I did listen to the Evolution of Horror episode on it, and it sounds, it sounds like a thing that exists.
Honestly, I watched this, I want to say around the time we covered Bram Stoker's Dracula on the podcast, because I'd never seen it before, and I always heard it was kind of a pale imitation of that. And it is. There are parts of it that I really like, and I don't think it's really a boring movie, but it's also like that kind of like,
it's a hot mess, is it not?
Well, I think Kenneth Branagh's kind of an egomaniac, too.
Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
I don't think he was probably the best person to direct and star in that movie, but like...
How many shirtless scenes does he get? That's what I want to know, because that'll tell you everything.
To me, it's, again, I just remember there's one scene where I believe it's just Branagh, but maybe also Branagh and De Niro, like, rolling around on the floor in a bunch of, like, amniotic goo.
Hot.
Naked. Yeah, it's wild. But
so wait, why haven't we covered this version?
Well, because honestly... I think because as you said, we're covering this because the Del Toro version is finally hitting Netflix, and I do think that Branagh version is probably closer of an adaptation to the original book than James Whale's 1931 film.
Okay,
but we can't show a lot of the stuff in the book in the movie, so
wow.
But let's jump into this, shall we?
Let's do, yes.
So I'm pulling pretty much all of this information from a special feature called The Frankenstein Files, How Hollywood Made a Monster, which is on pretty much every Blu-ray and 4K release of this film. But
love it.
Okay, so yeah, Frankenstein, based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, which I always forget that's what that's titled, when she was just 21 years old.
Let's face it, everybody, a lady invented both horror and science fiction. Never forget.
Well, but it was published anonymously in its first edition.
Because women weren't accepted as authors.
Exactly. So, but the story was a result of a literary parlor game she played with men named Percy Shelley and Lord Byron during a rainy vacation in Switzerland in the summer of 1816. And this is something that we see brought to life in the first scene of Bride and Frankenstein. It's the scenes that bookend that film.
Which I love. I love it.
Yeah, it's so meta, right?
It is, truly.
Now, somebody came up with the idea that they should have a writing contest, and that's pretty much like where this came from. So, the book actually left a lot up to the imagination. Actually, Joe, did you have to read Frankenstein in high school?
I've never read the book. I've tried to read Dracula several times, which is how I know the word epistolary, but also I cannot get through that book. I've never tried Frankenstein.
So it was a thing where it was a senior year of high school, basically like your AP, like the advanced classes, they had to read Frankenstein, and the non-AP classes had to read Dracula. And I was really bummed because I really wanted to do Dracula, and I was, not to brag, but I was in the AP classes. And
oh la la.
But our teacher made a shift that year. She was like, actually, like, we're going to do something else. And we did a vote or something, and we wound up reading Cold Mountain instead of Frankenstein.
Oh,
so yeah.
No. They spit in the air and they say it's rain. entertaining.
I really like Cold Mountain, but both the movie and the book.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like these are not the same things as Dracula or Frankenstein.
No, and that's what I thought was so weird about it. And I was kind of riding a high though, because I think I had just seen Cold Mountain recently, and I've been seeing a lot of people nowadays be like, "Oh, Renee Zellweger's win for Cold Mountain is one of the most like undeserved wins." And
hard disagree.
Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that's my long way of saying I also have not read Frankenstein.
Okay, so you never decided to take it upon yourself, like, oh well, if I'm not reading it for class, I'll just read it for leisure.
Yeah, but like you though, I've also started Dracula about 3 times in my life and never finished it.
I just cannot. I don't even know that I've made it to the point where Dracula reaches London.
No, yeah, I definitely read most of the Jonathan stuff, and then I think once we pass the Demeter chapter, I think I just tune out.
Maybe it's that Jonathan is so fucking boring, even in book form, that you just can't get past him.
Exactly. But anyway, so this book, yes, it leaves a lot to the imagination, and it didn't have all the flashy equipment that we come to know thanks to this particular film. You know, all the lightning bolts and all the fancy lighting. None of that's in the book.
Okay.
But it's not really that it's not in it. It's more so it's described, the equipment, as opposed to like, this really like bulbous
Here's
light.
an elaborate description of what we're doing.
Yes, exactly. But when the novel first came out, apparently it was perfect for stage dramatization. And just a few years after the novel was published, the plays started coming out. So in 1823, Richard Peake presented Presumption, or The Fate of Frankenstein. And this was a melodramatic stage play, but
the title alone.
Well, exactly. But it introduced the character of Fritz, who is not in the novel. And of course, Fritz would eventually kind of be morphed into the Igor character in later films.
Okay, thank you, because I literally wrote in my notes, and Igor does this, and then at one point Frankenstein says, Fritz, and I thought, who the fuck is Fritz?
Yeah, Igor is, he's in the 3rd or 4th Frankenstein film is when he is introduced.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the late 1800s or early 1900s, it became fashionable then to interpret Victor Frankenstein and his monster as yin and yang. And the stage production most influential on this Universal film was the version written in 1927 by Peggy Webling and produced by British actor/manager Hamilton Dean, with Dean himself playing the monster, whose makeup had a mixture of greens and yellows with a matted wig on top.
Sidebar. Was that another lady writer I heard in the mix?
Another lady writer, yep. And she is credited in the credits for Frankenstein at the top.
Oh, really? Amazing. Okay.
I mean, it's weird. Like Frankenstein, like when you those opening credits, there's like, I think there's an entire screen dedicated to the writing credits of this movie because they have to reference they have to credit so many other works.
Right, because it was hugely influential and everybody had a pass at it, right?
Now, in that stage production for 1927, it was very minimalist. Like the resurrection scene was apparently a masterpiece of theatrical understatement, refusing all the bells and whistles of special effects that would make the film famous, which maybe that's why it's so memorable at the time too, is because, if you'd only seen this on stage, none of the stage productions had this much flash to it, this much flair to it.
It's just a body on a table, and then we go, ooh.
Well, and so the monster's ultimate revenge on his maker was done with very minimal materials and enhanced by very dim lighting. So, I can't really visualize this based on the description. I'm just thinking, okay, cool. Yeah, it was just like, it wasn't very showy.
Yeah, it left it to the performers to sell the intrigue and the dramatics.
Now, I bring all of this up because techniques of the theater, especially expressionist theater, had a major influence on the prototype horror films produced in Europe during the 1920s. So,
right. Go back and listen to our episode on the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, everyone.
Exactly. And that will not be the first time I bring that film up in this production history.
Well, all the better then, because we saw the download numbers, and y'all need to educate yourselves.
Yeah, go watch some silent films, everyone, because in case you didn't listen to that episode, the term expressionist cinema was characterized by intense light and dark and lots of shadows. And it's kind of a thing where once you see expressionists, like visions, it's so easily identifiable, as opposed to me just saying, it's lots of lights and shadows.
Also, I love that you just said visions instead of visuals, because it makes me think of people people like, oh, I'm seeing Expressionism. Oh, it's on the walls, it's everywhere.
Exactly. It's like Phoebe and Charmed.
Right.
Okay. The Hollywood style for a very long time was generally flat lighting to make sure that people saw everything. So really brightly lit things. And so when Hollywood filmmakers were first confronted with German films, they were very surprised by the kind of atmosphere you could create, and that newfound knowledge eventually found its way into their horror films, again, using shadows and dark lighting.
I do love it. Hey, everybody, did you know that when you use shadows in horror films, it ups the ante?
Well, but that's the thing, right? What was horror films at this time? Was that even a term really thrown around a lot?
No, not really.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to Universal. Studio founder Carl Laemmle was born in Germany and imported much European talent to Universal City. But it was his son, Carl Laemmle Jr., who was most attracted to horror themes, much to his father's initial disapproval.
You want to make money, senior? Get on board.
Well, so that's exactly that, Joe. So, the runaway success of Dracula in February of 1931, it was a Valentine's Day release, by the way.
Love it. Original counter-programming.
Mm-hmm. That was all that was needed for Junior Laemmle to have his way with horror films for the studio, to where his father was like, well, I don't like it, but it makes a shit ton of money, so here you go.
It's a way to convince old people to get on your side. Look, it makes money.
Well, and again,
shut up.
I was like, well, the success of Dracula's February of 1931. This comes out in November of 1931. It must have been really quickly put together. And it was. Yeah. It was all in a year.
Well, as you said, everything just came together so quickly back then. But as you alluded to, perhaps that is one of the benefits of having barely feature-length productions. It's like we're using probably studio backlots, so we've already got most of this constructed. We've got, stars at the ready because they're, on the roster. They belong to us. Mm-hmm. And then, I guess the longest piece would probably be writing a script.
Which I imagine probably took come on, like Frankenstein isn't really that complicated of a script, right?
I don't know. We've had a couple of conversations where the screenplay didn't come together particularly well and things had to be delayed. But I imagine if you figure it out, it could come together very quickly.
Probably so, I guess. But this one, again, there were still kind of production issues with this one. So Frankenstein was initially going to be a project directed by a man named Robert Fleury, who was a French immigrant director deeply committed to the principles of European Expressionism, with The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari being one of his favorite films and serving as his model for the art direction of Frankenstein.
All right. Sounds good. What goes wrong?
Well, so we have mentioned Fleury in our episodes on both We have mentioned Fleury in our episodes on Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, and The Wolfman, because he was involved in the development of all of those before either dropping out or being kicked out. And eventually, I think it was The Wolfman, where basically they went to him to kind of do something with Wolfman, but by that point, someone had said, hey, do you want to start a studio with me instead of working for Universal? And I think he had been burned so many times by Universal that he was like, yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing. I recognize the name because, yes, you have said it to me several times, but I kept thinking, well, he doesn't direct any of these movies, so clearly something is not working for him at Universal.
Right. But at this point, he's still involved, and his version of Frankenstein was going to star Bela Lugosi, who, again, was fresh off of Dracula. But here's the thing. So although Bela Lugosi was announced as the star of Frankenstein, so this was like put out in press releases or whatever back then, Lugosi had objections to the assignment almost from the beginning, mainly being that with the success of Dracula, he did not want to play the monster because he was, I don't know if this is his quote or someone else's quote, he was too handsome and well known to play such a heavily made up character.
Okay. So the ego is maybe factoring in a little bit?
A little bit. But the funny thing is, so again, there's a bunch of sequels to this film, but at some point, Lugosi actually does star as the monster because he plays Igor in one of the films. And then in one of those films, Igor and the monster switch brains. And so in the next film with the monster with Igor's brain, that's when the monster is played by Lugosi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I'm looking at old pictures of him, and while he's not, movie star marquee, he's not going to be the lead in a romantic film, he definitely has a striking look to him. So, yeah, maybe, you know what? Maybe we should have cut him some slack.
Also, here's the thing. Whether or not he was or was not attractive, he was the lead of one of the most successful films that Universal had released up until that time. So he had clout and bargaining power.
There we go. But it also cost him this role, then.
Well, I think at that point, because again, it's like, he's like, I don't want to be under makeup. Like, I want to be able to see my face and recognize my face.
Okay. So he's saying, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. And at this point in the pre-production process, the makeup he would have worn was a thin, clay-like look similar to the film The Golem, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you were trying to get away from that, that would not be a selling feature.
Yeah. So the first writer assigned to write Frankenstein was Dracula's writer, Garrett Fort, who combined Florey's ideas with an unproduced stage adaptation of the Peggy Webling play by John Balderston.
Okay.
Despite Florey's passion for the project, another director was already waiting in the wings, and Florey was soon out of the picture. But, and this documentary makes a point to say this, there is no paperwork in the files as to why Florey was taken off this project.
Oh, secrets.
Mm-hmm. But it's okay. He would get his chance to direct a highly stylized horror film in the Expressionist manner with 1932's Murders in the Rue Morgue, a film that starred Bela Lugosi and was partly filmed on the original Frankenstein sets.
Oh, interesting. I've always wanted to check that one out.
Me, honestly, after watching this, I was kind of like, well, yeah, I kind of want to see that. Because, you know, with all this production drama and development drama, it's like, cool, he didn't get to make Frankenstein, so let's watch Rue Morgue to see what he would have done with Frankenstein.
Well, and when you say it's a little bit more in that Expressionist style, because I think we can see shadow work here in Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I'm not immediately going, oh, yeah, this is giving me German Expressionism or anything.
I think the most I see it is anytime we're in Frankenstein's, like, lab lair area and a lot towards the end of the film as we're heading towards the windmill.
I was going to say, when the creature picks up Frankenstein and carries him, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, because that's basically Caligari carrying that woman away. Yeah, for sure. Also, apparently, though, him carrying Frankenstein away, that was such a strain on Karloff's back that he eventually had to get like 3 back surgeries over his life because of him carrying him up that scene.
Wow. Why don't you just call Colin Clive fat? Jeez.
I think it's because of all the makeup and like because he also had like heavy boots. They were filming in the middle of August. Like it was rough, but
yeah, not fun.
Now, we've discussed Whale's origins before in our episodes on Bride of Frankenstein and The Old Dark House.
And The Invisible Man.
Well, but I think we did The Invisible Man last. I think by that point we had already gone through it. But
you were like, bitches, go back and listen to the other episodes, please. Well,
because honestly, I can't remember which one we did the primer on. But basically, Whale had come over from England after having directed a very successful play called Journey's End with Colin Clive. And, of course, Colin Clive would play Frankenstein. But Whale was a rapidly rising Hollywood director, again, noted for his direction of World War I dramas. Now, why they said, cool, he's perfect for Frankenstein, I have no idea.
Maybe this is just like what we see now with comedy people getting funneled through the pipeline into horror. You know, maybe it's we like you, we believe you can do it, even though this isn't a natural, very obvious fit.
Well, or maybe it's also like, I mean, again, because he's a big old mo. Maybe he's like, look, I'm good at making World War II dramas. I don't want to make World War II dramas.
Right. Although, admittedly, he will also go on to say, I don't want to keep making horror films either.
That's also true. Typecasting. But
sure.
This was also a moment in history where so many theater directors were being imported by Hollywood to deal with the fact that the actors suddenly had to speak.
Well, yeah, that is a problem for this time.
Well, because I didn't think of, I mean, obviously, yes, we know that the acting style has to change. I mean, I always think about Singing in the Rain, you know, that one woman who's like always in silent films, but yeah,
mutual, I'm sure.
Love it. But I didn't think about how also your directors would have to change their directing style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So more than anything, Whale was responsible for the casting of Boris Karloff. And Karloff was in many silent films and talkies before Frankenstein. I want to say that on this thing, they said it was like, this is like his 80 or 81st film.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. One day, Karloff was having lunch in the commissary, which I did not know is a restaurant inside, this is great, a restaurant inside a movie studio, a military base, a prison, or another institution.
Yeah. I think I've heard of it. Yeah, I think I've heard of it in every one of those instances except for a movie studio.
That's the thing. I was like, we're lumping a movie studio with like prison and military base? Okay.
You know what? They're all militant.
Yeah. Well, shit. Anyway, so Karloff was sitting in this commissary, dressed in one of his good suits and looking very spiffy, and James Whale spotted him. And what really struck James Whale as fascinating was Karloff's face and the bone structure of it specifically.
Okay.
So he called Karloff over to have some coffee and suggested that he had a role for which he'd like him to do a screen test. And Karloff basically jumped at the opportunity without even knowing what it was.
Interesting. Even after that many credits.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it's also like, if you're saying, hey, this is actually going to be a huge film for Universal, maybe it's also, hey, this is going to be a horror film, which Karloff wasn't. Well, he was doing some horror. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he just really liked Whale's charisma.
Right. Okay. So I'm looking at Boris Karloff out of makeup as a younger man, and he's giving younger Jeremy Irons.
That a little bit gaunt in the face, right? With kind of sunken cheeks a bit.
Sunken cheeks, but like very accentuated cheekbones as a result.
Mm-hmm, very much so. So, okay, on that note, let's talk about the makeup and design, which I will confess, I have always heard how, like...
Awful.
Awful? Oh, sorry.
Like how awful it was, not how good it looks.
Yes, no, sorry. So yeah, I was going to say, I've always heard about how good this looks and how revolutionary this makeup was. And I always look at it and kind of like, I mean, I guess. Like, but it's one of those things where it's like in 1931.
It was huge.
It was huge, yes. And so, okay, Jack Pierce, who we discussed in our episodes on The Wolfman and Bride of Frankenstein, not The Invisible Man,
to be clear,
was the creator of all the classic Universal horror makeups, because he was the head of Universal makeup during the Golden Age. And everything he did was an out-of-the-kit makeup job. So he had makeup kits that he would work with. And the monster's trademark square forehead may have been partly inspired by Thomas Edison. I don't know if it's the same Thomas Edison.
It is.
Okay. 1910 version of Frankenstein, in which Charles Ogle played the monster. And to make the brow, Pierce used layers. He would do a layer of spirit gum, then a layer of cotton over that, and then a layer of this thing called collodion, which is a very strong smelling plastic.
Ew.
Yeah. The flat top head was built the same way, and these techniques were apparently quite painful to apply. To have this cotton and collodion build up every day, especially so close to Karloff's eyes with that very strong solvent smell coming off of the collodion. It was also a painful process of removing it, which meant that Karloff had to have amazing endurance to go through all of this. And I think like the lengthiest makeup conversation we've had with these was over the Wolfman. And that was, you know, applying hair and stuff, but they specifically wanted him to still look humanoid in that.
Right.
This, they didn't want Karloff to be as recognizable. And the story goes that Karloff felt that in the original test, he looked too alive, especially with his eyes. So they added the heavy eyelids with mortician's wax over Karloff's own eyelids, only allowing him to open them part way.
I mean, the effect is amazing, but also that sounds fucking painful and not fun at all.
Well, and apparently it's really lucky or fortunate that they had Karloff for this, because it all worked with the contours of Karloff's face to where he was able to express an entire range of emotions that other actors quite literally would not be able to do if they essayed the role.
Wow. So he really is like a unique special butterfly that only he could have pulled this off.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's someone else out in the world that could have done this, but not in Hollywood's arm's reach at the moment.
Right. Okay.
It took 3.5 hours to put on and almost as long to take off.
Oh, God.
His wardrobe itself was heavy and black. And of course, shooting in August of 1931, it was very hot. And as I said, filming lasted from August 24th of 31 to October 3rd of 31 and released on November 21st of 31.
This is all on sets, though, right? Like, he wouldn't have been outside. It's just still, it's the middle of summer and then the hot lights from...
Yes. And I mean, also, I don't know how, well air conditioned. Like, did they have central air in 1931 in movie studios?
Going to guess no. Maybe fans or
something.
Maybe
fans, window units. I don't know. But whatever. But apparently it was hot nonetheless.
There we go. Yeah. And I've heard terror stories about how heavy the shoes were and so
on. Exactly that. Which, again, made him carrying Clive up that hill was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Now, for many audiences in 1931, Frankenstein was, and I quote, an overwhelming experience.
That doesn't sound exactly positive.
So many of the things that Frankenstein showed and dealt with were rather unusual and new to people, and they tapped into new things that were perhaps very dormant or things that people didn't want to think consciously about.
Right. We should note that this is a pre-code film, too, so we're probably getting away with things that we couldn't have gotten away with otherwise.
Well, right. And so, again, but when I say, okay, what are these things that people were like, oh my God, like, this is so shocking. I'm talking like, the dirt on top of a coffin in the opening scene. Like, that had never been shown on film before. Or a hanging body being cut down. That had never been shown on film before. So in 1931, this was all a huge deal, which is why Frankenstein was such a success. Like, word of mouth was like, oh my God, like, you've never seen anything like this before. Get your ass in those seats.
Oh my God, you can see a man and woman sleeping in the same bed together. Oh my God, you'll see a toilet.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly.
Revolutionary.
I mean, not at this point, but yes, you're on the right track.
I just saying, the toilet is the story from Psycho.
Oh, yeah. And then what was the first one you said?
It's a man and a woman in bed together, but that's more of a TV thing.
Yeah, the TV. I think it was Bewitched, maybe, that did the first one together. Anyway.
Oh, don't ask me.
I don't know. I knew they didn't do it in I Love Lucy. They had twin beds in that show.
Yep.
Now, there were a few issues with the censors, with the main one being the scene where the little girl drowns.
Of course.
I do love this. So in some countries, this scene was cut short. So it was basically like, the girl would see the monster approach and he would reach for her and then they would cut away.
Okay.
And so the next time we see the girl, the father's carrying her body down the village street. So it actually, like, by cutting
that's worse.
Yeah,
that's way worse.
By cutting it, it had a much more sinister effect. Whereas the scene we see it now, it's like, he's not trying to kill her. He's not doing something evil. He's just doing what he thinks she's doing with the flowers.
Yeah, that's wild because that turns the creature or the monster into way more of a villain.
Other things that were deemed maybe worthy of censorship, and I quote, some fairly graphic close-ups of the monster being injected with hypodermic needles. The scene when Fritz is tormenting the monster with the torch. There were also problems with Clive's line, I know what it feels like to be God.
Blasphemous.
Blasphemous, exactly. Because, exactly. So, even still, Frankenstein was a sensation, and the monster became a major new Hollywood icon, with the film spawning, as I said, a bunch of sequels. Universal spent 4 years developing Bride of Frankenstein, which gave the monster the power of speech. Karloff played the monster for a third and final time in Son of Frankenstein in 1939. This time he had a companion who did the talking for him, which is the broken-necked Igor, the hunchback.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, that's the third film, brings Igor in. And again, Igor, played by Bela Lugosi. Then we get 1942's The Ghost of Frankenstein. Then we get 1943's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Then we get 1944's House of Frankenstein, followed by 1945's House of Dracula, in which Frankenstein makes a brief but not very notable appearance. And then finally, because we have to enter parody before we can close the door on this thing.
Always.
1948's Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which apparently is considered, if not one of, but the greatest horror comedy ever made.
Yeah, I think I've seen parts of it. It is wackadoodle. It's just like Abbott and Costello running around an old dark house, encountering all of the Universal monsters, and it's kind of amazing.
I've never seen an Abbott and Costello film.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's slapsticky, it's nonsense, but it is a really good time.
It's I think I've said this before. My parents, especially my mom, really didn't like quote unquote silly humor. So like when I was growing up, I couldn't watch any Jim Carrey movies. But Abbott and Costello falls into that category of silly humor.
It would, yeah,
yeah. But anyway, so that's it. What happens in this movie, Joe?
Well, first, Trace, would you like to play a game?
I want to play a game. The rules are simple. All you have to do is sit here and talk to me.
Okay, so welcome to Rate Them Frankenstein edition. Okay. So I have 8 different movies, and I would like you to organize them in the proper Rotten Tomatoes score for me.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so on the docket, this is the list of titles alphabetically. This is not necessarily the right order because I learned my lesson the last time we played this game.
Okay, I'm gonna type these out as you're doing this so I can have a list of them.
So we have alphabetically Bride of Frankenstein from 1935, Frankenhooker from 1990, Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro version from 2025, I, Frankenstein from 2014. That is the Aaron Eckhart terrible piece of shit. Lisa Frankenstein from 2024. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994. The Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975. And finally, Victor Frankenstein with 2015 with Daniel Radcliffe. So once again, folks, that's Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenhooker, Frankenstein 2025, I, Frankenstein, Lisa Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Victor Frankenstein. Trace, tell me which one is the top.
I'm going to say the top is Bride of Frankenstein.
You're correct with 98%.
Okay. And then number 2, ooh, It's either the Del Toro one or it's Rocky Horror. I'm going to say the Del Toro one.
You are correct with 83% as of this recording.
Okay. Then it's going to be Rocky Horror, right?
It is with 80%.
Oh, I'm a little surprised by that, actually. I guess I didn't think that like critics really cared for Rocky Horror when it came out, but...
We are talking about 50 years of build-up, so...
Right. Okay, next I'm going to say... Ooh, boy. Now we're just fighting for the bottom, I guess. Lisa Frankenstein? Okay, wait. Frankenhooker.
Correct, with 65%.
Oh, okay. Then Lisa Frankenstein.
Correct, with 52%.
Okay, then I'm going to say Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 94.
Correct, 42%.
Oh, man.
Now we're into the dregs.
I know. I'm like, so it's either I Frankenstein or Victor Frankenstein. I'm going to guess Victor Frankenstein is next.
You're correct. It's 26%.
Oh, and then what is I Frankenstein at the bottom?
Why don't you take a guess on this one?
Oh, is it 9%?
Lower.
Oh, 3%.
Higher.
5%.
Correct.
Oh, it's like The Price is Right. oh my God. There should be a Price is Right game show, but on Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Ooh. Didn't we just make it? Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
well done. You actually did really, really well.
I did really well at that. I only got one
And to be clear, I could have done about a billion other Frankenstein texts. I just kind of tried to pick some of either the ones that we have covered or the ones that would give us a good range.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Totally get it. And I won. What do I win?
The ability to continue talking about Frankenstein from 1931.
Oh, okay. Well.
But in case you were wondering, if we had have included this film in the mix, it would have come in second place at 93% fresh.
Ha! Which is what I guessed anyway, so ha 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 ha.
There you go.
Okay, Joe, now what actually happens in this movie?
Okay, so we have Edward Van Sloan, who introduces the film. This is one of the gentlemen who works for the studio on behalf of Carl Lumbly.
He also plays Dr. Van Helsing in Dracula.
There we go. Which I wouldn't know because I've never seen the original Dracula.
It's fine.
Ooh, we're going to get hate mail over that, aren't we?
No. So here's the thing, though. Because I remember I had to watch... Dracula was one of those ones I had to watch in school. I think I had to watch Dracula, Frankenstein, and Bride of Frankenstein. And I was shocked when we were learning about Dracula that it wasn't well received when it came out, and it's not really considered one of their best films.
Okay. And you agree with this?
I mean, I just think it's kind of boring, especially, and also it's kind of one of those things like when you have the Coppola one there.
Oh no, that's not fair.
It's not a fair comparison. I know. But yeah, but it was one of those things where I was like, I'd always heard my entire life, like, oh, Dracula is like one of the most iconic movie monsters of all time, and he is. But it was news to me that it wasn't particularly well received when it came out.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, outside of like money, it made a lot of money, but critically, it wasn't that well received.
Actually, question mark, because you didn't really talk about that. Was this film received well when it came out? You said that it was a big crowd pleaser and it made a lot of money. Did critics like it? Do you know?
Critics did like it. I didn't do the Rotten Tomatoes because, again, like for these kind of films,
it's so skewed.
Whatever. Yeah. For the most part, it was. And a lot of people were comparing it favorably compared to Dracula.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So it has the virtue of coming out after the fact and saying, oh, look, we did it better.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And
cool.
Some of that might come down to the director as well.
Perhaps, yeah. Okay, so Van Sloan introduces the movie using the line that I used to open this episode. So we also mentioned that the film is about two great mysteries of creation, life, and death. And really, that's what this whole fucking thing is truly about, right? It's what separates living and death and what happens in between.
Right. I do love this is basically like a trigger warning from 1931.
Or an advertisement. I could actually see them pulling this out and putting it into ads or vice versa.
Sure. But I mean, like, it literally ends with him going like, well, now's your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Well, and it's fun, right? Because you watch this and then you think of how Hitch, just to bring the connection back in, he would always sell things this way. And I think even like William Castle would do sort of like it's very showmanship, isn't it? Like a carnival barker.
Carnival barker?
Yes, the person who works at the carnival who gets the crowd wrapped up.
I did not know that's what they were called.
Yeah, man. Okay, so actually just with one side piece for the advertising, I'm going to bring in my one and only source for this episode, which is Harry M. Benshoff, who I always love to quote when we cover the old films. But he does make note in his book, Monsters in the Closet, which is a seminal text from the Winter of Esther.
Which you've brought up many times before.
Many times, yes. But Benshoff does note that Frankenstein was sold with queer-tinged advertising, including statements like, no woman's kiss has touched his lips, or that Frankenstein would have to choose between the lady or the monster.
Ooh.
To which I say, yes.
I also do like, too, that the monster is credited in the credits. We don't get Boris Karloff's name. It's the monster, question mark.
I love it. It's such a, like, you mentioned that this is not fun or comedic on par with Bride of Frankenstein, but that touch, I know it's meant to create an air of mystery, but for me, especially from a contemporary like perspective, that feels campy.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Who could it be? It's
just a little wink. And I'm assuming that audiences, if they would be familiar with the name Boris Karloff. However, after this, he was pretty much cemented. I think he was typecast after this movie, which he didn't love, but he made a lot of money off of it.
Man, it's got to be the worst thing, the double-edged sword, right? You know, you get super famous, but then you also get pigeonholed in that one famous role.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like, well, that's when, if you're an actor, acting becomes quote unquote just a job. You know, you're
do the repeat performance endlessly.
Yep. Go in, clock in, go to work, go home, go to work, go home, go to work, go home.
Oh, wait, isn't that all of our experiences?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have all these like glamorous like views of what actors go through. And granted, of course, they are more glamorous than us, obviously. But it's just a thing where I'm like, oh, but like for some of them, like this is just a job. And I think, just again, if you're getting typecast like this, that is what it is. You have to get bored with it. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and then you go into work and you have to spend 3.5 hours in the makeup chair and then 3.5 hours getting the makeup off. That's work, baby.
To which I say, imagine doing that for, I'm talking to everyone out there now, like imagine for your day job that you hate, your menial, like uninteresting day job, if you had to go in early for 3.5 hours of makeup, still work the 9 to 5, and then spend 3.5 hours getting it off after that.
Yeah, and you get a salary, so it's not like they're going to pay you more for this time. It'd be like getting stuck in a commute for all that extra time. And then they say, oh, well, you're getting a flat fee, so suck it up.
A sleep clinic, a group of exhausted narrators and dreams that don't stay in the dark. Every night in October, nightmares become reality. Listen to this epic 31-part saga where the only thing scarier than the dreams is the therapy. Creepy presents The 31 Days of Horror. The nightmare begins October 1st. Listen to the whole series on the Creepy feed wherever you listen to podcasts. Wake up to the nightmare.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Always so fresh, delicious, and nutritious, Eggland's best eggs fuel the body with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
Okay, we open this movie at a funeral. We're in the Bavarian Alps because I love that we fucking always did this. We would never set any of these Universal movies in America. It was always for an exotic location, Bavarian Alps.
I mean, we're all over in Germany here, but I think though that is adding to the expressionist vision that is kind of carrying over here, though.
It does feel like that, right? You know, okay, well, what's exotic, but also it feels like a gentle homage to where we have gotten a lot of our talent from.
Well, exactly that. So I do wonder, too, is because we have so many European directors and writers over here at this time, if they're just writing what they know.
Yeah, it's weird, Trace. It's almost like diversity improves the quality of your work and like, I don't know, it makes it feel less familiar and more interesting. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I mean, here's the thing. If they set this in the United States, where the fuck would this be?
The Rocky Mountains?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So we're at a funeral and we do this pan around the grave. Everybody's crying. Everyone's upset, except for, of course, Dr. Henry Frankenstein, who was played by Colin Clive, as well as his assistant Fritz, who was played by Dwight Fry.
I don't know why we call him Henry Frankenstein. I mean, because I get we have Victor in the third wheel of this throuple we're dealing with here.
Yes.
But and I don't think that this Victor character is actually a character in the book. So
okay. I
do wonder if it's like, oh, well, I don't know. Why not name him? Why not name that character Henry? I don't know.
Do you have something against Henry?
You're changing the name of the character from the book. His name is Victor Frankenstein in the book.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess just didn't like the way it rolled off the tongue.
It just feels arbitrary to me. I don't get it.
It does, but maybe it was, we want to bring in a new character, but we want to still keep all of the names from the book. So we're going to have a Victor and we're going to have a Frankenstein, but now Frankenstein needs a new first name.
I guess, whatever.
Even though really, how often do we refer to him by Henry unless it's Elizabeth talking?
Right, it's always Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Which is confusing because there is a Frankenstein senior, but we just call him Baron in this movie.
Right. Which is his actual name, not a title, right?
I think so. I don't know. They are rich as fuck because the size of this, like, we have a castle on the cliff that Henry Frankenstein goes to, but then his father stays behind in town in a different palatial house. Yeah. I'm like, where is the money coming from?
Maybe it's Baron,
right?
Baron von Frankenstein.
Baron von Frankenstein, moolah riches, money dollars. Yes. Okay, so Dr. Frankenstein and his assistant Fritz are eyeing up this funeral like it is an all-you-can-eat buffet because they want to lay hands on that body. I do like that they wait until the end when, we filled in the hole and then they realize, okay, well, I guess now we've got to dig it all back up. That just seems like a lot of labor.
A lot of labor, which thankfully is left off screen.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, I complained that I wanted this movie to be longer, but it does mean that we just, we are transitioning. Whenever we need to skip over something that's not interesting, it's cool. Dissolve. I
don't know if you ever have these moments when you're watching films. Whenever, in a movie, if someone says, I have to go do this, let's go head to X destination. And I'm like, fuck, now we got to wait in the car with them as they drive.
Just get there.
And I love it. I love it when we just cut and we're there. I was like, oh, good. Yeah. We can skip out on the drive there.
Yeah. So we dig up this coffin, and there's some really choice dialogue in this film. So sentiments like Dr. Frankenstein saying he's just resting, waiting for new life to come. And you realize this person is mad, but also eloquent.
Well, and that's the thing. And this is stuff that's probably very shocking to audiences, right? I mean, just the mere concept of this. Even if you've read the book, he is still running around the cemetery, picking up body parts from corpses. And while we are not seeing these body parts dismembered,
no.
It's the implication is enough to really freak people out in 1931.
Well, and polite society, the concept of digging up a corpse, even a fresh corpse, for your scientific experiments. I mean, this is also blasphemous, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So we basically cart this body away and then we pause en route because we just happen to come by a random body that is hanging from a tree. So Fritz climbs up to cut it down, but we discover, neck is broken. So this brain is not going to be useful. And we push on. This is like an interesting moment, but I do feel like we maybe don't need it, except to suggest that there are certain types of bodies or body parts that are more valuable to Henry.
Yeah, I think it also is kind of like cluing us into what's going to happen between the normal brain and the abnormal brain that we get later.
Boy, yes. The criminal brain, which has dangerous implications, As someone who has become too familiar with racism, I don't like the idea that we can look at a person's brain and be like, oh, look at these lines. That means criminal behavior, because we used to do this with like facial features in black people and so on. So it's a very slippery slope.
Well, but the abnormal brain, sorry, that's a Young Frankenstein quote.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen Young Frankenstein.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, basically the Igor character, he's like, oh yeah, I got the brain from an Abby normal. And he's like, Abby normal? Abnormal?
Oh my God. Love it. Okay, so we move over to Goldstad Medical College, and we are introduced to Dr. Waldman.
Oh, no, sir. Dr. Waldman.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Dr. Waldman, who's played by Edward Van Sloan. So he's teaching medical students, and yes, we're comparing contusions between brains, normal, criminal. And then the minute the class is dismissed, Fritz sneaks in through the window, comes down, grabs the regular brain. And then a noise startles him, and he drops it. So he goes, oh, I guess I'll just grab this Abby normal brain. And off we go. Oops, criminal brain. Here we go.
Which, though, actually, the movie kind of discredits the theory that, a criminal brain is going to be worse than the normal brain, or like whatever, because the monster isn't a criminal.
Well, I don't know. I think that you could read it as, the reason that the monster or the creature kills this girl, the reason that he inflicts so much property damage and tries to kidnap his creator is because he has this dysfunctional criminal brain.
See, I actually think maybe... I don't know if
I don't personally subscribe to that, because I think we're actually meant to have empathy for the monster.
For sure. I guess to me, though, it's kind of like, okay, I guess we don't have a really comparison because we don't know what this would have looked like if he had used the quote unquote normal brain. Yeah. But everything here is like, no, he's this creature that was brought back to life against his will. He doesn't, he's basically a child. So when he kills the girl, he's only copying what she's doing because he's run out of flowers. So he's like, oh, this is what we do. It's very like child. And like, so I don't know. To 100%. Me, none of this feels from the creature malicious, even unless he's being threatened. If he's being threatened, he will lash out. And I think by the end of the film, yes, like I never.
Well, by that point, the creature has learned, and seems to have a greater sentience, right? Like in some ways, I think you could look at the film as a maturation from childlike innocence to jaded adulthood, and that's why he's so much more prepared to kill and cause damage and so on. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's really lashing out against people because he's been hurt.
Yeah, and I love watching it because it's like, well, they're threatening to him because they're afraid of him. And what do humans do when they are afraid? But
they try to kill it.
Exactly, they go on the offensive, and so it's that aspect of this film I found the most relatable watching it this time.
Very much so. And it's kind of a universal theme, right? Like, I think from a queer perspective, we could also look at this as a bit of like, is it nature versus nurture?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's introduce our love combatant, our love foe, our love antagonist, Victor Moritz, who is played by John Bowles. He's visiting Henry's fiancée, Elizabeth, who is played by Mae Clarke, in yet another thankless female role in a Universal monster movie.
Wait, who else? Where else have we seen her in?
Oh, not her. Just like every female role that we have talked about. Like, basically, unless you're the Bride of Frankenstein and you get those last great, 15, 12 minutes.
Oh, no. The Bride of Frankenstein is in the last 5 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, it's like the female roles of these movies are so fucking terrible.
Well, I guess that's the thing, is because Bride of Frankenstein is played by the same woman who plays Mary Shelley. And so, at least, the actress gets to play, she gets layers, she gets multiple roles. But yeah, this Elizabeth character is a nothing burger.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the conversations that we had, less so, I think, in The Wolfman, more so in The Invisible Man, where you're just like, my God, these women are here to be either damsels in distress or to be lovesick women.
Well,
and I mean, yeah, is it a sign of the times? Sure. Is it really easy for us to critique from a 2025 perspective? Sure. But also, it's really hard to watch this movie and not be like, wow, this is a big old sausage fest.
Well, and I will say, the one thing I say that I always recommend about that Branagh version is that Elizabeth is played by Helena Bonham Carter, and that role gets so much more to do in his version of that film, and that's why I would recommend it.
Yes. Okay. Well, it's a worthwhile recommendation then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Victor is visiting Elizabeth in part because he is obviously in love with her, but also because she has received a letter from Henry saying that he is focusing on his experiments, but the subject, the content, has her worried. So she asks Victor if he can go and check on Henry, and he says, yes, I will do that. I'm going to go to Dr. Waldman, because Henry was his student.
But because she does say, I'm going to go with you. And he's like, you can't do that. And then she retorts, I must. So there's at least a bit of agency, even if it's just one line of dialogue to where I'm like, okay, she at least has some agency to her.
Yes, especially in these early scenes. As the film progresses and we get more into, yes, let's definitely get married. Let's focus on the wedding nuptials. A little bit less so. But,
but her dress looks great.
The dress looks great. She looks amazing. I mean, it's more me wishing that Mae Clarke had a bit more to do, because I just truly don't feel like I know anything about Elizabeth, except for the fact that she's always worried about Henry.
Yeah, and unfortunately nothing in the film shows us like really why she's in love with him that much. Because he seems 70-minute
runtime, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And this role would be recast in Bride of Frankenstein because Mae Clarke was ill.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I was like, I don't recognize her from Bride of Frankenstein.
No, the character's there, different actress.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Victor and Elizabeth head over to interview Dr. Waldman, and he mentions that Henry left the Institute because he had, quote-unquote, mad dreams. They were becoming dangerous. They included unreasonable procurement of human bodies. We're not talking about animal bodies. Henry wanted only the freshest. Why am I doing a Dracula accent?
I don't know what you do.
But, okay, so yes, we have reason to be worried. Even Dr. Waldman is worried. So Elizabeth then asks him to tag along because she thinks, okay, I've got me, the fiancé. I've got this other guy who's in love with me. He's probably not going to be very helpful. Maybe I'll ask the mentor to come along because Henry respects him.
Well, and Elizabeth's like, let's go. And Waldman's like, no.
No, please, Dr. Waldman, we need you.
He eventually relents, but he really doesn't seem to want to go see Henry at all.
Yeah. I mean, presumably they had a relationship, like a working relationship, when Frankenstein was at the college or the school. So I imagine that Waldman was like, no, I've already tried to deal with this guy. And he fucked off to live in a weird castle up in the mountains. So up we go. But first, let's check in with the mad scientist and his male assistant. I'm just saying, we're engaged to this woman who's very attractive, and apparently we're too obsessed with our scientific experiments. Fellas, is it gay if you leave your fiancé behind so you can go and work exclusively with men in the mountains?
It's just bro code. Fun fact also, Dwight Frye, who plays Fritz, he played Renfield in the 1931 Dracula.
Okay, so he had good practice doing this role. I actually do quite like his performance, but it is giving off some pretty significant Igor, Renfield kind of energy.
But remember, Igor has never existed up until this point.
I know, but it feels like everybody has either studied this performance and that is what Igor will be in the future.
Yeah, we'd have to really watch the third one, Son of Frankenstein, to see like how the actual role of Igor was originated.
Right, yeah. Because I do wonder if people just said, oh, well, we had Fritz in that other film, so maybe we just do that again.
Exactly.
Okay, so they perform one final electrical test before somebody begins insistently knocking on the door. And this is so upsetting, Trace, because this storm is building and we're really ready. But oh my God, I cannot work with this banging on the door. So I want to say, I don't think that James Whale is ever a super, super showy director. And maybe it's hard to evaluate for comparison's sake, because obviously this is nearly 100 years ago.
I was going to say, because I do think this is actually, at least in the resurrection scene especially, I do think that's considered showy for this time period.
Right. But even little moments like this, right? You know, I feel like even in the old Dark House, there were moments where it was not flat, but it was kind of, see somebody bang on the door. You see a match on action on the other side as the door opens. And here I love that we get the banging on the door and then this kind of extreme tilt of the camera up as Henry pops his head out the window and he's like, fuck, it's my fiance.
He's like, go away.
Go away. I'm really busy. I'm trying to reanimate my perfect man.
He opens the door and he goes, Elizabeth, please, won't you go away?
I'm just saying, maybe it's less about your experiments and more about the fact that you don't want to be with a woman.
I guess.
I like my alone time with my mens in my mountain castle. Okay, so she refuses to leave, and he really tries to implore her, no, I'm so busy, I really got this stuff. And then he sees Victor is there, and Victor goes, oh, well, you must be mad. And that's when Frankenstein says, oh, why don't you all come in?
I
Nobody
honestly,
puts baby in the corner. Nobody puts baby Frankenstein in the corner.
I forgot he does all of this with all these people present.
Right. Yeah. I totally thought we were going to wait until they left and then we would do our experiment.
Yeah. Nope, not the case. We don't have time.
Yeah. So everybody comes up to the lab and then they nod when he asks if they want to see what's on the slab. So we sit around. Frankenstein explains he's going to use these experiments because he has progressed from animals to a beating heart to now this body, which has never lived.
I mean, Frankenstein is kind of a drama queen. He is operating at an 11 for most of his line deliveries.
He's giving manic, especially in these moments, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's on the cusp of greatness. He doesn't want to be interrupted by these people, but you know what? If you're going to stick around, cool, let me put on a fucking show for you. I will say, I actually really like Colin Clive's performance. I do think he is queer-coded. I do think that Fritz is queer-coded. Like, yes, I'm making jokes about it, but it does feel like, oh, these are men who are more comfortable with each other than they are with regular society.
Yeah, no, I think that's a totally fair assumption.
Okay, so the storm builds. We've got this body under a sheet on a platform. We raise the platform up into the open. This is not as showy as I might have expected, but as you said, it is pretty grand in scope considering the time period. So body goes up into the storm, wait a couple beats, body comes down, and then we see the hands start to move.
Do we get a shot of it like a wide shot of the exterior of this castle with the table up in the sky?
I don't think so.
I think we get that in Bride of Frankenstein. So I think also it's a thing where it's like, yeah, you get a better, again, more showy resurrection scene in that movie, but it's the climax of the film, so it has to be.
Right. Yes. Yeah, because I will say the climax of this film with the burning windmill is pretty fucking good.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's great.
Like, it's very showy. But yeah, this is mostly, we're seeing electricity in, you know, the various lamps and equipment around the lab. But I think it's just the platform goes up and then it comes back down.
Yeah. And this is what I also think it's important to note, too, because he says it's alive, it's alive, it's alive. In Bride of Frankenstein, he says she's alive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I debated whether to gender the creature. And I am principally because it's a male actor playing. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that I don't think we ever actually say he. I think we usually say it.
We do. But I mean, do you really think he would have brought in female body parts or female genitalia for this thing?
Frankenhooker?
Well, yeah, Frankenhooker. I'm just saying, because I feel like it was important in Bride of Frankenstein that he get all female body parts. And so I feel like...
mate.
Yes, exactly. But I see your point. I don't fully agree with it, but I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so as you said, I think probably one of the most famous lines in horror movie history is Dr. Frankenstein just making his declarative statements about the living status of the creature. And this is full mania. Like, oh my God. Hey, everybody, did you see what I've done? I'm fucking God.
I'm God. And man, I bet you all those pearls are being clutched in 1931 in those theaters.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God, he stole a body and then he reanimated it and now he thinks he's God. Mm-hmm. Burn him at the stake.
I mean, because I don't even necessarily view Henry Frankenstein as a villain in this film. I think there are other portrayals of this character where he is much more of an egomaniac and like really detestable. I don't fully get that in this version of the character.
I do early on, and then it kind of wanes as the film progresses, if only because I do feel like in the back half of the film, we soften this character when he sort of comes back to quote unquote normalcy. You know, I'm convalescing out on the patio with the dogs and the tea set.
I wonder if that's also, because it is pre-code, as you said, but it's more an issue with the censors where it's like, well, we can't have this person live if he's going to keep, like, we have to soften him if he's going to live at the end of the film.
Yeah, he has to get a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the creature must die, of course.
Which, again, that's like, well, I mean, I guess, because when we end this film, I guess we do believe that the creature is dead at the end of this film.
Yes. Yeah. I think if there was no sequel, you would believe, okay, burn down in the windmill.
Yeah, which I do love that about the sequel, that it picks up right here.
Oh, truly. Oh, you thought? No, you were mistaken.
Yeah.
Una's going to tell you otherwise.
The original retcon.
There we go. Okay, so we have a transition to connote a time jump. So it is later. This is when we see Victor and Elizabeth reassuring Henry's father, Baron Frankenstein, who is played by Frederick Kerr, that his son is busy with his experiments, but he'll be home soon. And the Baron knows that something is wrong. He knows his son, but clearly not that well, or else he would know not to go barging in on his mountain castle with all the men. But the Baron mistakenly believes that it must be another woman. And this is a very, to me, odd thing to say in front of the fiancé. Oh, well, sweetie, he must be fucking cheating on you.
I just think that's part of the times, right? Like, I think that society in general was pretty, is still, but especially in 1931 was pretty misogynistic. So it's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, it's just very funny that it's like, oh, my son couldn't possibly have this active an interest in science. It actually reminds me of all the memes that you see on Instagram now, where it's like, my son couldn't be gay. He's obsessed with all of these female superheroes, or, all of these final girls in horror films. And you're just like, oh, queer icon, queer icon, queer icon.
I will say, though, if we can't extend the length of this movie by 10 minutes, I don't need this Baron Frankenstein character. I don't need his father.
Yeah, I think we could be generous and suggest this is the environment in which he grew up in. So these expectations of heteronormativity, like really the Baron, and then also Kerr Vogel, who is the magistrate, Lionel Belmore. So he basically represents the interests of this small town that they're from. But between the two of them, they kind of seem like the most important men, and everything is riding on this wedding. It's like, this town needs a celebration. Hey, Frankenstein, when is that deviant son of yours finally going to marry this woman? Everything's ready. We just need a date. So, yes, basically between the two of them, they offer reassurances. Don't worry, we're going to get Dr. Frankenstein back here lickety-split. All we got to do is drag him away from whatever he's experimenting on. So, this means that we need to go back to the castle momentarily. So, we see that Henry is trying to convince Waldman of the allure of danger. And this is, I think, again, more of that really excellent, and this is more of that excellent prose. So, it's very much, I'm playing God. Don't you want to taste the danger? Haven't you experimented and tried walking the darker side?
So this bit of dialogue apparently wasn't in the original shooting script for the film. It was just added in when they were filming. And I would argue it's one of the most crucial pieces of dialogue in the film. Like, this is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's about the allure. Like, it's one thing to make a grand declarative statement of, oh, I am God because my experiment succeeded. This is why it's intoxicating. This is why it's worth the risk to push the limits of scientific achievement because of what it could potentially offer you. Like, it actually helps to explain Frankenstein so that he's not as much of a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. He's still definitely an egomaniac. He's still definitely a narcissist.
Yeah, I just think there's nuance to all the characters, specifically Henry and the monster in this movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so this is when it gets revealed, oh, but you do realize that the brain inside of that creature is that of a criminal. And it's like, oops, I didn't know that, but it'll be fine. Henry reassures his mentor that he just needs a few more days with his experiment. He's been keeping him in the dark, but I love this. Like, he literally does mean he's been keeping the creature in the dark, and he's slowly introducing it into the light, but something like, wait until I bring him into the light has a kind of poetry to it.
Well, and so this next sequence, and we're like almost at the halfway point of the film by this point, but when we get, because we haven't seen the creature's face yet.
No, we've just seen, the hand moving. We've seen part of the upper part of the head and so on. And
so we go to see him, and the monster enters the room walking backwards, and he slowly turns. And again, this is one of my favorite editing tricks. It's the zoom in via jump cuts into this face. I love this. Actually, we just talked about it in The Birds a few weeks ago.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is it's not showy, but it is showy, right? It's the underside of showy in terms of introducing basically your secondary lead of this movie.
And this is the moment that's really this is probably meant to be a scare of some sort, like the reveal of this face. So? Yeah. Because again, like the audiences hadn't seen something like this. I mean, think about like the unmasking of the Phantom in that Silent Phantom of the Opera film, where it was like, that was a jump scare at the time. So I wouldn't call this a jump scare, but I think this reveal is meant to terrify audiences.
There we go. Yeah. And we, finally get the opportunity to appreciate what the makeup job looks like and just how big and threatening and imposing this creature is. So it's almost impressive that Henry Frankenstein has the ability to compel this creature, go over there, sit in the chair, do as I say. I am your master. Because you think, I don't know, man, if you let that thing off the leash, oh boy, it looks big. Looks like you could be in a spot of danger, my friend.
A little bit.
And we will get that pretty quickly. So first, though, we have the opening of the skylight so that the monster can briefly reach for it. And I think that this immediately tells us as an audience, oh, there's that childlike wonder. There's I don't understand the world. The monster is almost reaching for the light like it's a tangible object that you can grasp.
This is actually one of my favorite moments in the film. Again, you're right. This childlike wonder, not really even a glee per se, but he is trying to reach the sun, which is something that Henry Frankenstein has metaphorically already done.
Yeah, and doesn't fully understand or appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Like this monster, I think it's that naivete, but also the source of wonder and amazement that we often associate with children, right? Where, oh, you haven't been touched by darkness. You haven't become jaded or cynical because you haven't had the terrible parts of the world thrust upon you yet. So it's like, oh, you're still innocent. And you can see that here. It's just packaged in a very imposing figure. So everything is hunky-dory except for fucking Fritz coming in with this goddamn torch, which freaks, I'm going to say rightfully, the creature out, because why are you coming at me with fire?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's if there's one not a plot hole, but where I'm kind of like, okay, Henry Frankenstein, you are a scientist. And I feel like, I get you can't predict everything, but I feel like you should know that you shouldn't just bring fire to this thing.
Right? Like, maybe you should have a sit down with your stupid assistant/lover and tell him, hey, maybe no fire in the lab from now on when the creature is out, because it's not going to produce anything good.
Well, and basically, they just then chain it up in the basement. And this is where I made in my notes, like, in this basement set, this is where I start getting some German Expressionism.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very interesting set. I can't fully picture how it all goes together because the rooms don't really look like they fit. Maybe, again, that is part of the Expressionism. But yeah, like this is a striking cave. We've got super high ceilings and it's just, it's very memorable. And it looks so completely distinct to House Frankenstein, which is where his dad is. But so we basically, all three men ganged up so that they could chain the creature up, and the creature doesn't understand what's going on. So it's just like pulling on the chains. Fritz is just antagonizing the creature more, only this time instead of a torch, it's with chains. Like, we're whipping this thing. And it's like, okay, dude, this is not going to work. Like, this is, jealousy coming from the lover. And needless to say, this is a moment I would have liked to have seen played out over a slightly longer period of time, because it feels like, okay, we get this one violent interaction between Fritz and the creature, and then the next moment we hear Fritz screaming and he's hanged dead.
Yeah, which again, and this would have been pretty shocking for audiences too. Like, just seeing this dead body like this.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in some ways, I like that we did that foreshadowing with the body on the road as we were bringing the body back up. So this is a nice sort of payoff where you think, oh, wow, Fritz, didn't you get your somewhat just desserts?
I mean, again, I think when you're watching him torment this creature with the torch, who do you feel bad for in this sequence?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so guess what? The creature is also on the loose, because that's how he managed to hang Fritz, is that we have managed to escape from our chains. So we barely make it out of the door. Waldman and Frankenstein, they managed to slam the door, but that's not going to hold the creature. This is when Waldman says, okay, the experiment is over. We need to put this thing down. Let me prepare a sedative or something. We will just get this situation back under control. And that's the only thing that saves Frankenstein's life, because if not, the creature would have strangled him to death here.
Well, absolutely. And he'll get another opportunity later.
He will indeed. Yes. The creature really loves to use his hands. Okay. So we do manage to knock the creature out temporarily, but lo and behold, the timing is terrible. Victor is banging on the front door. So this is when we move the monster downstairs out of sight, and then Elizabeth and the Baron enter. We should note that Frankenstein got pretty badly strangled here, so he tries to briefly put on appearances as his father basically wanders around and says, "Ugh, hit what you've done with the place. It's so messy. Ugh, so damn. Oh, I hate everything." And then basically Henry just passes out. So, okay. Cool. Thanks for coming to collect me, Dad, but also I'm down for the gout.
Yeah, so we leave Waldman alone with the monster, which is obviously going to end very well.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you think Waldman really wanted to do here? Because before he leaves, like before he passes out, Henry makes Waldman promise that he will keep all of his notes, or he will keep his research alive, because he's afraid that if he gets taken away, it'll all just be for nothing. And Waldman does promise him this, and we get to see he's made a couple of notes, but the final piece of these written notes is dissect immediately.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I don't really think that's what Frankenstein agreed to before he was taken away.
Well, it's open to interpretation.
I did want to note that when the Baron first comes in, as he's complaining about how shitty this place is, and we should be clear, it is like fallen into disrepair pretty obviously.
Squalor.
Yes, he does note that it's a queer sort of place for a son of mine.
Well,
I know. It doesn't have the same connotation, but also it would have been a word that James Whale would have been familiar with.
I wonder when queer.
We've looked up the etymology of queer before, and I think it was known in this sense. It would have been a weird or unusual thing.
Oh yeah, actually, the late 19th century. So yeah, it would have been after the book was written, but before this film was made.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, we have carted Henry Frankenstein away. We're trying to recover his spirits by literally feeding him spirits, because, nothing cures near strangulation like brandy, Trace.
I guess we're beyond the a good nip of cocaine is really good for the allergies.
Okay, Hetty. So, yes, this does leave Waldman alone, and he jots down some notes. He goes to make an incision, but we do see the telltale flick of the hand. The creature is actually awake. Waldman is strangled to death.
Yeah, so bye-bye.
Yeah, I put in my notes, he's promptly choked out in a non-sexy way. Okay, so the creature makes its escape from the castle. We see Henry recovering with Elizabeth. They decide, oh yeah, now that the experiment is over, we should immediately get married, because I'm back on this heteronormative path.
Honestly, the most shocking thing in this movie to me was this plot development. I was like, don't you have a monster to go babysit?
Like, you don't even want to maybe follow up with Dr. Fladman? No? Okay, cool. I guess we'll just leave him to clean up your mess.
Well, no, she's like, we should get married as soon as possible. And then we just cut, and it's their wedding day. Like, what?
Yeah. And again, this is where I would take maybe, if I had my 10 extra minutes, I would dedicate maybe 3 to a kind of montage of them just getting everything ready. I know that we mentioned that everything was sort of ready, and we just needed the actual actors to be back and ready. But this just, it's like, oh, you wanted the wedding? Cool, it's the day of the wedding. Now we're doing it.
Well, going back to that example where it was like, when like someone like is saying, oh, we have to go here, and you're like, oh, I gotta wait in the car with them as they drive. This is kind of like the bad example of that, though, where I'm like, no, but we actually need something, I feel like, between here.
Yeah, it feels like we're missing a scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, everybody's here. We're toasting to the success, the continued health, the longevity of House Frankenstein. Also, the House of Frankenstein. Like, what a fucking name.
Yeah, I love it. Only in Europe.
Yes, only in the Bavarian Alps. So I wanted to make a note that we do get to see the servants drinking champagne, because they can't appreciate Grandmama's wine. It's too good for them.
Okay, I do love Baron's line. It's extraordinary how friendly you can make a lot of people in a couple of bottles of beer.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's how he made his fortune. Maybe he's a liquor distributor. Like maybe he has a distillery or something.
But
I mean, it's pre-code, so it's all about the boozing and the partying.
I was like, when was Prohibition? But Prohibition was like the late teens to the early 20s.
Right. Oh, okay. So maybe this is celebratory because we're fucking out of it.
Oh, actually, though. So the Prohibition began with the 18th Amendment in 1920, and the 21st Amendment, which repealed the Prohibition Amendment, was in 1933. So actually, in this time period...
He's a bootlegger.
Yeah, unless the film is not set in 1931. Maybe the film is set in the 1800s, yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe this is when it would have helped us to have read the original source material because we'd probably know the dates.
Well, no, but I mean, you could be making Frankenstein and not have it set in 1818 when the book came out. Like,
this is entirely true. Yeah. But she is giving turn of the 20th century, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. But I did want to note that only one of these servants actually gets to finish her drink. It's the one closest to the camera. And she basically chugs it as the others are forced to give their glass of champagne back on the tray. Yeah. And I just thought, you go, girl. Okay. So outside, the townspeople are celebrating the nuptials. It is a huge fucking party. Like everybody in town is just having a gay old time. Mm-hmm. But in the country... This is where we see Ludwig, who is played by Michael Mark, leave his young daughter Maria, who is played by Marilyn Harris, all by herself. Well, she has a kitten, but it's like, this girl is, what, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, the actress was 7, so around that age. But I mean, it's
like,
also,
just leave your child with a kitten. They'll entertain themselves as you go into town.
It's their farmland, like they're not in town, so I'm sure he wasn't expecting a monster to come and drown his daughter.
Yeah, admittedly, she seems to be doing all right for herself when she's just playing with the flowers, but she has a certain level of curiosity. I do like that even this child actress is able to portray the initial apprehension. You can see a flicker of fear go across her face when the creature comes out, and then she just goes up to him and says, oh, you know what? You're a stranger. Let me befriend you, for lack of a better term, right? She takes his hand, she takes him over to the lake, she gives him flowers, and you think, oh, this is actually really, really nice. Until he misunderstands how to play this game.
Well, and so Boris Karloff's daughter is on this featurette that I watched, and she said, you know, it's interesting, like, watching Frankenstein because children viewers are the ones who sympathize and empathize the most with the creature.
Right.
Children never see the monster as a villain, ever. And I think that's what you see in this particular scene.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that this scene is famous, and I mean, sure, we can acknowledge that there is a certain small amount of comedy to seeing a man as large as Boris Karloff
just toss this girl.
I mean, it's kind of funny, but also you immediately understand that he understands that something has not gone right. Like, you get the impression he genuinely thought that she was going to float or pop back up or something. Well, and then when she just fucking drowns, he flees.
Well, yeah, because again, he thinks that she's the flower. Like that's all it is. But, you know, it's so funny because how many times have you and I talked about oh God, this movie had the balls to kill a kid, you know?
Right.
And here we are in 1931. It's not a graphic death. You know, she goes down, we kind of cut away, whatever. But and honestly, I don't even think we know that she's dead until later when the dad is carrying her body around the town. But
I think we can assume it because we see bubbles under the surface and then she doesn't come up. But yeah, it's not like we're seeing a body float to the surface or anything. So yeah, until you get that confirmation, oh, there's a drowned little girl in her father's arms. It's like, okay. But yeah, we definitely killed a fucking kid.
Fun anecdote for you on the behind the scenes of this. So apparently, this girl was really, really she had a great rapport with Boris Karloff. And Karloff actually, he objected to the monster throwing the girl in the water. But Whale was like, we have to do this. No,
you're going to do it.
But the first time he did it, I guess, she was too close. So she didn't disappear in the water. And so James Whale was like, we have to retake this shot because her body didn't sink. And so they had to do it again where Karloff threw her further out into the water.
Oh my God. God.
But Whale told her, I will give you anything you want if you do this take again.
A pony.
She asked for 12 hard-boiled eggs because her mother kept her on a strict diet and she wasn't allowed to eat hard-boiled eggs.
Part of me wanted to say, oh my God, sweetie, like aim higher.
Aim higher,
but
right?
You know
get
what?
some chocolate.
If you never get to eat hard-boiled eggs, it's like, I want 12. I want a full fucking dozen.
She got that fart-smelling mouth.
Doesn't matter. That's a wrap on this little girl. Give her all the eggs. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the creature flees as we see the party raging in town, but something isn't sitting well with Elizabeth. And I'm not going to lie, this has an interesting air of the supernatural to it, right? You know, in Gothic horror specifically, we usually see these women who have experienced something supernatural, something ghostly, something spectral, and they tell a man, and the man says, oh, you dumb idiot. Nothing like that is happening. And then hopefully they get punished for it.
Right.
But this scene feels like that, where she says, something's not right. I'm really afraid that there's something going on between us, and I'm worried I'm going to lose you. And Henry just goes, no, sweetie, you're an idiot. Dum-dum. Everything's fine.
I must have paraphrased, but yeah, I wrote, Henry just goes, nah, you're just tired, woman.
Basically, right? The 1931 equivalent of mansplaining, no, bitch, you fine. And you're just like, your wife feels something. She's connected to what is happening. Listen to women, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does not. He does not. But as we noted, Elizabeth looks fucking great in this gown.
It's the veil. It's all about the veil. Like
the veil's great.
I mean, this veil could probably cover the entire floor of this room.
I was gonna say, is there even a dress there, or is it just 100% veil?
Yeah. Now, fun fact, or maybe not fun fact, but the creature does kill Elizabeth in the book.
Okay, so I knew that she survived. Yes, because we've seen Bride of Frankenstein, but also because I remembered knowing that she was still alive in later scenes than this.
Right.
But there is this moment, so Henry leaves and she's there. We hear a sound. They go to investigate and we see the monster come in. We don't really see the attack. He starts to move towards her and she screams, and then we hear her screams after we cut away. But when we come back, when they break down this door and they see her, a beautiful fucking tableau. Well, looks like you could put it up in a museum as a painting, but like she looks fucking dead on the bed.
Yeah, and I was getting from a lot of. I think the scene, like again, when the creature comes in is sneaking around. Like, I think this is all very, very well done. I was getting like Nosferatu from this
a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, this. When we're talking about so many stage versions did this. I can totally see how this scene, like, it looks like we're seeing a staged version of this, right? Well,
and I think that's the thing is, like, a lot of films at this time period did feel like filmed stage productions because that's kind of what they were.
Sure, yeah. And that's not a knock against it.
No,
I think it works in this particular moment where we're just trying to communicate what's happening within a single room. If it felt stagey when the monster was carrying Frankenstein up to the windmill, or the windmill felt like, oh yeah, now it's just, a smallish set with a rotating piece or something, I don't think it would be epic enough in scope. But it works here because this is a bit more of an intimate drama.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so basically we have this near miss with Elizabeth. Don't worry, she's fine. But we're also kind of cross-cutting to Ludwig carrying his dead daughter's body. And it's a little bit like the Love Actually moment with Colin Firth, where he's like looking for his housekeeper, where basically he just walks through town and amasses this parade of individuals, only it's with a dead little girl.
It sure is. And again, I think this is kind of shocking to see this child corpse. I mean, I'm assuming it's played by the actress. It's not a dummy, but
I think so. Yeah, it just looks like she's being very still and, gently waterlogged.
She's limp. Yeah, she's got some like mud stains on her. I will say though, and we'll get it in a bit, but we will get a great dummy shot later in this movie.
Oh, is it Frankenstein
it's
hitting
Frankenstein,
the window?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I loved it.
I loved it too.
My God, you know how much I love a dummy. Oh, God. Okay. So, yes, Ludwig is basically announcing publicly, my daughter is dead. He shows up at Ervogel's place, and, you know, we've amassed this kind of outraged vigilante group who want justice. And I love that Ervogel's just like, who did this? Who are we going to pin this on, folks? Got to keep the party going.
Yeah.
Okay, so back at the house, Victor reassures a distressed Henry that the wedding will only be delayed a day, so don't stress, bro. Like, hey, don't worry, you're still going to get to have your wedding.
I guess all their guests are like the entire townsfolk because they're going to form a lynch mob.
Oh, right, yeah, they'll be distracted. We'll just put some makeup over Elizabeth's presumably bruised and battered neck where she was nearly strangled to death, but don't worry, wedding, 24 hours, TBD. So Henry insists that in order for this to happen, we've got to destroy the creature. So he more or less tells Victor, well, I'm going to go and do this thing. I'm probably going to die. So I give you my blessing. Whatever happens, treat Elizabeth kindly, you know.
Peace.
It's like, I mean, I'm taking it to suggest that he doesn't think he's going to survive this encounter,
right.
But it also kind of feels like, hey, bruh, take my woman.
Oh, no, this is his, like, get out of jail free card. He's like, oh, good, I can leave her without having to leave her.
Right? Yeah, I died, in quotation marks, and then definitely didn't return to my castle up in the mountains.
Definitely
where
not.
I get a new male assistant.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely dead, so don't come looking for me. Okay, so meanwhile, the townspeople have turned into the crowd scenes from Halloween Kills because the evil must die tonight.
It sure must.
We grab our torches, we grab our dogs, we head off for some vigilante justice, and we see, like, I don't know how many people this is, but it looks like about a good 50 extras.
It looks like the entire village. Like,
it's the entire village.
Like, they are filling this through the mist, through the woods.
Yes, but of course, again, only men. Who knows where the women and the children are throughout all of this?
Well, we needed insert shots of, like, women, like, closing the shutters on the windows of their houses.
Yeah, so we have amassed our mob. We're going to divide into 3 different sections to cover as many areas as possible. Frankenstein's group goes into the mountains. This is where they find Hans, who is a character we have not met before, but everyone is deeply concerned, played by an uncredited Francis Ford. I don't know why he's uncredited, but
Francis Ford isn't, like, eventually...
No.
Okay, no, it's totally different. Okay.
At least I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe he added... Actually, that is Francis Ford Coppola. He just doesn't age, and he added Coppola to his name later.
Oh, right. Yes. Francis Ford Coppola, notoriously nearly 100 years old. So he basically is proof that the creature is somewhere nearby. So we hurry on. The creature is actually hiding away from people. And of course, Frankenstein ends up getting... not sequestered, but he goes off on his own path. He can't get the people to follow him because they're not paying attention. He ends up directly in the same proximity as the creature, so he tries to fight. I mean, he's a scientist, not a fighter.
Yeah,
so he
gets knocked out immediately.
It's just like, dude, you don't even have a weapon right now.
And then the monster's got to schlep this body up to the windmill to do what with? What was his plan?
I don't think the monster had a plan, but also we should know, I don't think the monster would have headed this direction. You know, we were slouching along with the body, sure, but it's really because the townspeople let the dogs off the leash. So I think we need to get inside immediately, and the windmill is right there. Yeah. So we go inside, we close the door, we take Henry Frankenstein all the way up to the top level. We should note, this all looks great.
Oh, yeah.
This is amazing.
Great. I mean, the windmill is, I mean, it's an iconic image from this movie.
To the point that I think we mentioned it when we covered Sleepy Hollow, but I feel like it's impossible to watch that movie and not think about this sequence.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, there's a lot of Hammer horror in that movie, which actually, because I'm sure Hammer did some Frankensteins too, so I wonder if one of their Frankenstein... But either way, you're right. Windmill, you have to think Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's all a rich tapestry of homages and circling back on each other. Yeah. So, okay, the creature has carried his creator to the top. I put in my notes, this has a kind of King Kong feel to it for a hot moment as well, which is wild because King Kong doesn't come out until 2 years after this movie.
Well, I do wonder, though, if this idea of the sympathetic monster, though, did kind of influence King Kong in a way.
I could believe it, yeah. Especially if this movie was as popular as you suggested, right? It would be part of the general atmosphere. Oh, the people who are making movies who are paying attention to what is a hit. Oh, hey, that Frankenstein movie made some serious coin.
Yeah, exactly. Except in King Kong, we swap out, like, we have a main woman in that movie. It's much more prominent than fucking Elizabeth in this one.
Well, I mean, I would suggest that Frankenstein is the damsel in this situation.
You're totally right. Like, Frankenstein is the damsel in this scenario.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, I like to see men being put into those types of roles because ultimately I kept, as a first-time watch, I was like, how does he get out of this? Does he end up saving himself or does something happen? And it's like, no.
Yeah, what basically happens,
we light the windmill on fire because, you know, people are prone to be doing this, but only after the monster has thrown his creator off the top. And yeah, as we alluded to earlier, it's some great dummy work as this body hits one of the sails and then lands. And again, I was certain, I wonder if the original intention was also to kill Dr. Frankenstein in this movie, because unless if we hadn't had these scenes of him sort of convalescing a second time at the end, I would have believed you if you told me, oh yeah, no, he died in that fall.
Well, because Victor Frankenstein, or in this case, Henry Frankenstein, does die in the book. Like
maybe that's what it was.
And that's the thing. So canonically, Victor Frankenstein should die.
Right. Yeah. I wondered if it was just not a happy enough ending. So everybody involved in this production said, okay, that's the book ending, but we need something a little bit more hopeful for our cinematic interpretation.
Yeah. But also the idea even of a female companion, that also is in the book too. Like the creature does ask Victor to make him a female companion.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Canonical. There we go. All right. So now that we have the human body off the windmill, we just have the creature, the monster. So the townspeople light this bitch up and we get to watch it as it burns. And again, I think it would be easy to read this as, oh, the creature is just terrified because, you know, scared of fire. But this feels sad, right? Like this is a terrified individual.
Yeah.
That is like there's nowhere for it to go, and you just have to watch it get really scared and then potentially die.
Yeah, I mean, because the last we see of this creature is like one of the wooden beams of the windmill falls on top of him and he's trapped under it, and that's it. I don't know if we fade to black or if we cut or something, but like that. So I guess I could see where if you saw this in 31, you'd be like, okay, well, we don't really know if he's dead or not. But I also don't know if they were really thinking about like if sequels were a big thing in 1931, you know?
I don't think so. I mean, well, actually, I say that with conviction, and I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Especially with certain types of films, we would get sequels, and often they would come very quickly. But I think that this would have been pretty early on if that was the case.
Well, and again, it took 4 years for them to get Bride of Frankenstein made.
Right. Yes. Although that movie had troubles. Folks, go back and listen to our production history on that one.
Yeah. But either way, that's basically the end of this portion of the story. And then we get this coda that oh my, what a wet fart to end your movie on.
I mean, here's the thing. You said you wanted comedy, and I think that this is an attempt at comedy. I'm going to say it's mostly unsuccessful because I don't think the Baron has been portrayed as a comedic figure or not to this extent. Like, even when he's, you know, joking about, oh, like, give the servants the cheap champagne because we don't want to waste the expensive stuff on them, it plays more like an out-of-touch class piece as opposed to, oh, this is comedy. We should laugh with this rich man at the way he treats his domestic servants.
I guess the only reason this is here, though, is to show that Henry is still alive.
100% that. Yeah, he and Elizabeth are going to be fine. You know, he's... it looks like he's still kind of unconscious, but she's there with him, you know, doing her wifely, doing her female duties as, you know, the person who's going to be looking after him. And yeah, we get the Baron saying, oh, well, I'm not going to give him the wine. I'll just drink it myself. And it's the end.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Here's to a son to the House of Frankenstein. Oh, credits.
Yeah. I mean, I do love how the movies of this day say the movie is over. Goodbye.
Yeah.
We are done.
Yeah. There's no, it's 69 minutes without credits. No, it's 69 minutes. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's Frankenstein, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite of the, honestly, like, out of all these Universal films that we've covered, I think this is my least favorite. By no means a bad film. It's just like, I think when you see where it goes, the other films are so much more interesting.
I would agree with that. I think they're more complicated. They're a little bit more sophisticated. This feels like we're still learning how to... I was literally about to say training wheels. Yep. Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I mean, you can see why particular scenes even have become so classic. Like, you know, the fact that we get references to this movie in things like Scream, it's not surprising, because if you're going to pluck a particular moment of horror history out and say it has to be referenced, or like this is a reference that people are going to get and understand,
right,
it's going to be this movie. But also, I think as a whole package, yeah, you're right. Those other films are just sometimes a little messier, sometimes just a little bit more interesting. They're shooting from the hip. They're taking bigger swings. Whereas this feels like we need to lay the groundwork and get it right so that people come back for future different Universal monster movies.
Well, and it's also just, I mean, advancements in technology over the course of the entire decade of the 30s.
Yeah, which is true, right? I mean, movies, talkies were like still kind of a newish thing, right? Like we're talking 1920s, and then sound is coming in the 30s. And then by the 40s, it's like, cool, we know how to do this. We're really starting to venture into different areas. Also, it's wartime. So let's ramp up the movie production because we need to make money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's Frankenstein.
That is Frankenstein. So, I mean, I don't know. Any final thoughts on this one? I kind of offered mine already. So what are yours?
I like it. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised at how much I think gentle queer coding we're getting. But I mean, if people say, oh, you're kind of reaching, I'm also not overly surprised, because I don't think, kind of like what you were saying, I don't think that this is as big of a queer text even as some of the other titles that Whale will eventually give us.
Well, especially with Bride.
And especially with The Old Dark House.
Yeah.
Those two are like the big heavies. But yeah, I mean, this was a very fun watch. I do love a short film. Taking a couple more minutes. I'm very interested now, having just watched this, to go and experience the Del Toro version, which is 2 hours and 40 minutes. So like, what does the full Maximus version of this production look like?
Yes. And actually, let me check one thing. Yeah, and actually, because that Kenneth Branagh version is just over 2 hours, so Del Toro's version is even longer than that. But I mean, again, like, I don't. Frankenstein the book is about 300 pages. Like, it's not a tome. So I don't know, but I have heard from some people that Del Toro's Frankenstein is a bit self-indulgent.
I think it's going to be a bit saggy.
Yeah, self-indulgent is what I've heard a lot. But I mean, again, this is his passion project, so
absolutely. Like, and we're not going to get the other texts that Del Toro has wanted to make for his entire career. So this is really the white whale. This is the only one we're ever going to get from him of this sort of scope and stature. So in some ways, I'm like, well, good on you for getting to make it exactly the way you want for, you know, $150 million. So fantastic that you convinced Netflix to give you a carte blanche.
At the very least, it is Del Toro. It is the movie Del Toro wanted to make. Like, not just, I want to make Frankenstein, but like whatever that the final product of that is, like that's the version he wanted to make, that he's been wanting to make for all these years.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Good for him.
Yep. Good for him. But, okay, everyone. Well, before we announce what we're covering next week, some quick housekeeping. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Blue Sky and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Horror Queers Discord. That link is in the show notes. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you'll get 429 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Tina Romero's Queens of the Dead, Hulu's remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, new Oz Perkins joined Keeper, new Predator entry Predator Badlands, and to celebrate American Thanksgiving, audio commentary on Blood Rage, which will be a first-time watch for Joe.
Yes, it will. I only know about cranberry sauce or something.
And honestly, it's not even that, like, it's a funny line, but it's not like the movie, like, halts to a stop to be like, look at the cranberry sauce line.
Okay, so it's not like Garbage Day from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
I mean, he says that's not cranberry sauce after looking blood out of his finger, and there you go. But
okay,
that's it.
Wow, spoiler Trace. God,
I know.
Come on.
For this movie that's like 75 minutes long.
Yay.
But, Joe.
Yes.
What are we talking about next week?
Okay, so folks, I'm excited to revisit this film. Trace, you and I have very fond memories of this, but I'm also kind of worried that we're misremembering if it's actually good. So we've already missed the 20th anniversary, but you know what? Hey, happy 2 decades on this planet. We're going to be talking about the Kate Hudson joint, The Skeleton Key.
Yeah, we've actually had some requests for this over the years. I do like this movie. I think it has a bit of a cult following, but are the racial politics good?
Yeah, that's my fear.
I'm gonna guess no, but
probably not. 2005.
I'm also gonna say though, I don't think they're gonna be as bad as we expect them to be.
Okay.
We'll find out.
I'm excited for White Get Out.
White Get Out from 2005. Yes. Okay, everyone. Well, on that note, we can cross out Frankenstein.
Indeed. And no, I'm just doing Dracula again. Indeed. And cross out Horror Quiz.
A sleep clinic, a group of exhausted narrators and dreams that don't stay in the dark. Every night in October, nightmares become reality. Listen to this epic 31-part saga where the only thing scarier than the dreams is the therapy. Creepy presents The 31 Days of Horror. The nightmare begins October 1st. Listen to the whole series on the Creepy feed wherever you listen to podcasts. Wake up to the nightmare.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Always so fresh, delicious, and nutritious, Eggland's best eggs fuel the body with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.